Hi everyone, welcome you all to this session on visualizing Azure resources from multiple subscriptions under one roof. I'm sure you would be curious to understand what we have in store for today. So here I am Air Literacy, Product Consultant 360, and I am joined by Nishant Prabhakaran, Junior Product Consultant at Serverless 360. But today, along with our roles, we are going to take an extra role to drive this webinar in a more interactive way. So I'm going to be the solution seeker and Nishant is going to be the solution provider. So I'm going to represent my customers here today, trying to post the challenges that we have encountered in dealing with their Azure estate, and Nishant probably has a solution to them. So let us proceed. For those who are joining us for the first time, Serverless 360 is a portal focused on operations and support for Microsoft Azure serverless services. Here you can find all renowned brands across the world who are using Serverless 360 in their production. So with no further delay, we invite you all to give it a try. Start off with a free trial of 15 days, sign up and explore Serverless 360. The context of today's session. So a resource map. So I have been in this IT field for past 10 years, out of which most of the time I have been working with Azure. And as a product consultant of Serverless 360, I got a lot of opportunities to interact with customers and people who are playing critical roles in coming up with the Azure implementation of organizations around the world. The common struggle that Azure users undergo is managing their cloud estate. As the investment in the cloud grows, this problem is compounded, and they quickly find that the estate becomes so complex that they lose sight of what it looks like and how it relates to their overall architecture. At this point, the customers come up with a number of requests. And I would like to understand if those requests coincide with your preferences as well. Here I am posting you an poll, and I would like to understand from the participants whether these are these some preferences that you would like to have while dealing with your Azure estate. Please mark your responses here. So this says I have challenges in viewing and governing all the resources under one roof. So ideally in our business use cases, we might have to deal with the resources that are spread across tenants, subscriptions. So there is an overhead of switching my account to viewing my resources across different tenants and subscriptions. Do you have the challenge? Do you want a better, clear view of how much am I spending per business application? And would you like to avoid resource junk that is as in the development or staging environment? This is very common. I create a number of resources to try out whether something works for me or not, but I fail to remove them from my Azure, and that makes it too clumsy. So how do I deal with all these? So these are certain questions that I am worried about when I am dealing with my Azure estate. Further, when I consider a scenario in which the Azure portal is set up to give a layout and deployment model where the resources are placed based on the optimal physical deployment model. So I get to manage them by regions and locations, but what am I actually looking at? So this is great for the management of physical architecture, but it requires significant knowledge of both Azure and your physical architecture to effectively use the Azure portal to manage my resources. The physical view is only of the important ways, just one of the ways that I'm looking at for my IT estate. Rather, I would like to map this physical architecture into a much simpler and a logical architecture that would translate into my actual business application. So this view that what I am looking for should demystify a lot of challenges that not only me, but also a number of Azure users have in understanding their cloud estate. So I'm looking for one such solution. And out of our discussions and brainstorming is where we have come up with resource map on which our Nishant is going to throw light on. Nishant, we would be glad to hear from you what you have in store for us in throwing light on resource map today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elil, for like participating, for making me participating in this webinar. So this webinar will be more about the resource map, the capability which is newly introduced in Serverless 360. And like when it comes to resource map, this capability will be very much useful to visualize and govern all your Azure resources under one roof. So you can achieve a kind of logical grouping, and you can have a better visibility of your applications. So in our near real time, we would have multiple applications in our Azure resources, and we don't have a better visibility on them, right? So we can have a better visibility, and finally it comes to the cost visualization. So Azure portal offers the cost visualization, but everything that we are seeing there is on the physical level. It was either on the location or based on the resource group. So we couldn't see the cost that has been being spent in application level or in environment level. So we can achieve
Hmm.
all these with help of resource map.
Pretty much those all the challenges that I just mentioned, you say this can be sorted out with the help of resource map. That's curious. Yeah. How easy it is to start off with, Nishant?
Yeah, so let me straight away jump into our serverless 360 portal and show you how we can
Hmm.
provision with the resource map and how we can do stuffs with the resource map. So here I have just taken
Yeah.
a blank serverless 360 account. So I have configured a composite application mentioning my flywheel caps booking scenario. And to make the connection
Hmm.
between serverless 360 and Azure portal is to use the service principal. So service principal is the ultimate way of making connection between both the portals. So it is the secured way of doing things. So once we have associated all of our service principal, we
Hmm.
have to enable for the resource map. So we can enable for it. And once we have
Hmm.
done it, that's it. We can straight away jump into our resource map section. And from there, we can just apply few rules. So if you see here, I'm having few rules that has been already created. So if I
Hmm.
apply this rule, then you will see the magic. So in the scope section,
Okay.
I'm having a variety of my application being as a scope. So inside each and every application, I can see all my resources. And
Hmm.
here in this driver onboard, I can see each and every resources has been mapped with different environment. And in vehicle management, this has been mapped with staging. So this level of automation will be coming there, and it will automatically pull in the resource and map according. So this level of easy accessibility is there with the resource map.
Yeah, indeed. It's just in a matter of few seconds, you get the resources sorted into the respective buckets and get to see and much clear view of to which application do they belong to. That's wonderful. I'm sure that you're going to take us more in depth on what is a scope and what is a rule and one, isn't it?
Yes. So when it comes to like here, we have just get into our resources and we have applied all our rules and everything has been done. But we would need a bit of instrumentation as well as in our Azure portal, in our serverless 360 as well. So first we need to create our rule. As you can see here, I have created
Mm-hmm.
booking management and vehicle management and onboard management. So these are few rules that I have already created. And I have mentioned the tag name that I have mentioned in Azure portal. So this is what the
Mm-hmm.
actual tag name that has been mapped with the resources in my Azure portal. So if I get into my Azure portal, I'm having a cab booking application resource map. So inside this resource map, I'm having all my Azure resources. It can be the vehicle management or booking management or driver onboard management. So everything are there in my single resource group. So I'm grouping
Mm-hmm.
all these based on the tags, right? So we can use this tag to completely pull in all the resources and map them with the resource map scopes. So if I show you one of my the tags, I have defined few tags for this booking handler. So here I have defined tags like booking
Mm-hmm.
management. So this is what the rule
Mm-hmm.
that I have defined there in my rule section of resource map. So based on this definition, whenever my resource map gets synced up, it will automatically pull in the newly added resource and it will put them into the scope. So this is how it will be. And when it comes to scopes, so
Okay, you
like
are actually mapping the scope and the tag, isn't it? So a tag
yes,
is a very familiar way of we grouping the resources in the Azure portal. Maybe should we listen from our participants, like what is the strategy do they use to group their resources in their Azure portal? Shall I
yes,
post a
definitely.
poll with your permission, Nishant? Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Participants, please let us know, do you use tags to segregate your resources as per their business application or resource group? Or how do you group your resources? I'll wait for a few more seconds for the participants to let us know. So till now, Nishant, out of tags and resource group seems to be the most utilized method of grouping the resources. So I hope Serverless 360 would support me defining rules with the help of resource group as well, so that it would be convenient for me to pull in the resources that belong to an application into the scope that I have defined in Serverless 360.
Yes, as you mentioned, like it's not only the
Mm-hmm.
tag, we can even use, the resource group as I will show you. I'm having the resources here. So in the
Mm-hmm.
rules section, I'm having multiple rules being already defined. So if I want to create the rule, I can either go for the basic section, it's going to be the tag name, or if I want to
Mm-hmm.
a filter based on the resource group or resource type or with the even with the resource name itself, we can even go with that. So here we will just form a query. So it will automatically show up. So we can very easily define the query. And here in my case, it's going to be the cab booking application. So I can completely define it and validate my rule, and that's it. So whenever I created the rule and whenever I'm applying the rule, so it will automatically pull in all the resource and put them into the scope. And as you have asked about the scope, so when it comes to scope, it's a kind of a logical group
Mm-hmm.
of all your Azure resource. So we would have variety of resources like virtual machines and
This level. So I can.
yeah, the service bus and logic apps. We can group them all under a single scope. And I'm just taking a small scenario here, which is going to be the fit app. So this fit app would have variety of Azure resources. So it will automate based on the rules that we have defined. It has automatically mapped the test environment and production and dev, and this kind of mapping can be very easily done. And we can also manage the environment. So we are not only going to stop with the scopes, so we are going beyond that. We can even have variety of environments inside each and every scope. It can be dev, staging, and production. So we can completely group them all. And apart from the environments, we can also have a kind of logical resources. So this logical resources is the combination of variety of environments that we have. So as you can see here, I'm having a multiple logical resource. So each and every logical resource is having dev and production and staging resources. So we can make some better comparison with this logical grouping as well. So I can pretty much see how was the configuration of each and every environment in each and every resources. I can click on it and view some in-depth configuration of each and every resources. So this level of comparison can even be done with the help of scopes. And it not only stops there. So we saw the rules in resource section, and here also we are having a rule to have a better automation on the environment mapping. So here we can either map on the environment or with the logical resource. So we can define the tag name as an environment. So whenever my resources get synced up, it will automatically pulled in and it will be put up with it, so that we can organize all your Azure resources inside a scope within a variety of environments.
This is indeed an winner of the show. In fact,
Yes.
I have been longing for a view wherein I get to compare my resources and my staging, dev, and production. And this solves the challenge spot on.
Yes, definitely.
So coming into the cost part of it, this always is a critical challenge that we encounter. Say I have certain platforms that are being used by multiple of my business applications. So I need to have the resource being a part of multiple scopes. And yeah, and I need it and cost visualization possible with resource map.
Yeah, so the cost visualization is the great capability and mostly used capability in cost in resource map. So yeah, like as you can see here, with the help of this cost visualization, we can get to see how much I'm spending in application level. So that is the major winner of the resource map. So you are having cost visualization in Azure portal, but they are completely, restricted to the physical entities like locations and the resource groups and all. But here in serverless 360, it's more on the application level. And if I again get into my Fit app itself, I can straight away jump into the cost visualization. So here I can completely see how much I'm spending on each and every resource inside my Fit app and each and every environment. So I'm also having variety of charts are even available. So I can completely pick up the line chart. And if I want to filter by environment, so if I only want to see how much I'm spending only in production, I can just define it here, and I can define like prod. That's it. So this will show me the graph. So on how much I have actually spent in last few months. So based on our selection date, I will get to see how much I have spent. So this level of cost visualization capabilities are also available.
This is great. I
So
can jump onto a specific month and then check on how my consumption has been over a period of time. And I'm curious to understand, Nishant, what is the red icon on the Feed app trying to convey me?
yeah, so here when it comes to red icon, so as you can see here, here are some green icons and red icons. So these icons are indicating that I haven't mapped few resources appropriately. So as a huge applications, we would sometimes miss out some of our testing applications or testing resources. So like we should have everything to be defined in a certain way. So that is what it's mentioning. So I'm having few of my resources assigned with either with the environment or with the logical grouping. So here, if I get into this logical group, I can see there is a blank space for my failure anomalies. So I have only defined development environment, development resource, and the testing resource, but I haven't defined any production resource. So I have to define that. And I'm also having few resources being unmapped. So I can either map it to my environment or logical grouping. So then I will have the green signal and I'm ready to go from there. So then I will have, I will make sure everything is correct and everything is moving good.
Yeah, so that is an signature that my all my logical resources are mapped against every environment, and I have my resources in my whole application being sorted into respective scopes, environments, and logically grouped, isn't it?
Yes, yes, correct. So here we can see, like we are completely speaking about the resource maps and how we can group everything with the resource map and how we can like visualize cost with the resource map. But we are also having another capability called composite application. So that will also like in the formula of grouping all your Azure resources. But like users want to know what is the actual difference between composite applications and resource map. So when it comes to resource map, it's completely, like for all your Azure resources. So whereas in composite application, it's completely restricted to the serverless services and some integration services, you will have a few operational capabilities like automated tasks and monitoring and some end-to-end tracking with that as well. So you can perform a variety of operational capabilities in composite application, whereas resource map is completely for governing and cost visualization and organization of all your Azure resources in a single place.
So to summarize, I would say composite application is an entry point to manage and monitor the supported Azure integration services, whereas resource
Yes,
map facilitates governing all Azure resources by organizing them under scopes and environments.
yes, you're correct. So yeah, so this is what our new capability resource map, and like we have introduced the resource map in our Integrate 2020, and there are a lot more to come in resource map. So based on the customer feedback and analyzing the trends on Azure users usages, we will try to pull in more capabilities into resource map. And here are our roadmap. So what we have actually brought into the portal and what we are going to bring in. So in the what news list, we have like pushed out data factory, support for data factory. You can get to manage and monitor all your data factory, and you can get to see the pipelines of it, and you can have a better monitoring capabilities. So here we are having a support for data factory, and we have also exposed APIs to manage your composite applications and your monitor. Say like you are having your Azure DevOps pipeline running, and if you want to have some automation on creating the composite applications and monitors, you can leverage these APIs. You can integrate with your pipeline. So like whenever your pipeline runs, you will have a new composite application and monitors being automatically created for you. So this kind of exposed APIs are also being there. And finally, like we can process all our service bus message to an API endpoint. So this is the mostly asked feature for from most of our customer. So whenever your downstream application or your backup system goes down, you can have this message processing to be there to help you to straight away push all your messages to an API endpoint. So you don't need to, again, resubmit the message back to the original queue and going out from there. You can straight away push the message to an API endpoint. So your downstream application will pick that up and process further. So these are a few capabilities in the what's new list. And in the coming list, we are making a huge change in our user experience. So we are going to bring in new user experience across the application, start from the composite application to user management and to notification channels. So everything, the whole user interface will be completely revamped. And like we are also going to bring in a kind of a documentation support. So here we are having composite application. We can create multiple composite application inside each and every composite applications, but we want to document them all, right? So we are also having capability to automatically create an extensive documentation based on our composite application configurations. So these are also coming. And finally, we are going to bring in the support for Cosmos DB. So you can manage and monitor all your composite application, and you can integrate like it with serverless 360 and do some better capabilities with that. So like along with resource map, we are also having another great capability, which is business activity monitoring. So if you want to perform end-to-end tracking on your Azure serverless application, you can check out a business activity monitoring. You can sign up for free trial. So the 15 days free trial is available for you. You can anytime sign up and play around with that. So it is not only for Azure serverless services. If you have your own serverless services running behind, and if you want to track the whole transaction, you can use this business activity monitoring to completely track it. It's a great tool to perform tracking. And apart from our webinars, so if you want to have some knowledge base, if you want to check out our resources, you can anytime go to our blog page. So there you can find a lot of valuable resources regarding the Azure integrations. And our MVPs are also writing some few white papers and ebooks. You can anytime go there to Serverless 360 page and check out all those resources. And if you want to have a deeper understanding about what is Serverless 360 and how we can set up a whole Serverless 360, you can anytime jump into our documentation to docs.serverless360.com, and you can proceed with that. And yeah, recently we have concluded our Integrate 2020 remote successfully. So every year it used to conduct as a physical event. So this year, due to the Corona situation, we have conducted it as a remote event. So we had around 900 plus attendees attending the session. And if you want to check out some latest news in the integration space, you can get into our page, our Integrate 2020 page, and you can have a look on all the sessions that happened there. And yeah, apart from the Integrate 2020, it's a kind of yearly once event. So if you want to regularly check all our community related webinars, and if you want to have some tips and best practices, you can check out our other community initiatives like serverless nodes and integration playbook. And with the help of Integration Monday, you can get updated of integration space. Like there, for each and every Monday, there will be an MVP coming in and speak about the latest trends in integration space. So you can also check out these community initiatives as well. And in the upcoming webinars, we are having a couple of webinars coming in, and one is highlights from Microsoft Inspire 2020. So we all love the Microsoft Inspire. So like this year they have come as a remote event. So we will give you some updates on what happened in Microsoft Inspire 2020 and what are all the latest trend that has brought in by the Microsoft that has spoken in Microsoft Inspire 2020. So we will bring in those. And we are also having another webinar following with that 5 stellar way to monitor your Azure resources. It's more about serverless 360 monitoring. So you can check out that as well. And now it's your time. So I request you all to take some time to suggest, to give us some suggestions and your feedback. And if you have any questions regarding the webinar and the resource map and some other capabilities of Serverless 360, it's your time. You can ask any question. We are here to answer them all.
Here is a
Yeah,
question,
so,
Nishant. Yeah.
yes.
Will I be charged for all the resources that is being associated to the resource map? Not really, Nadeem. So you would be charged only for those resources which are a part.
Yes. So, Elil, maybe I can take up that question. So, no, Nadeem. So,
Of
like
the
there won't
composite
be any
application.
charge on resource map. So it's completely, like a free capability coming in. So the charge will be more based on the resources that you are associating into the compost applications and you are managing and monitoring it. And it's more on the automated task side. So if you are running the automation tasks in your serverless portal, so that will come under the cost. And then the next one will be the PAM tracking. So like there won't be any cost which is very much related to resource map. So yeah, you can try that out. Any questions regarding resource mapping? Yes. So yeah, I'm not getting any questions from any of the attendees so far. So like, thanks Pavan for joining the call and Nadeem, and thanks other audience, everyone for joining this webinar. So I will see you all in our next webinar. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Cove.co.